समान भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय, नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद से अद्वैत गदाधर शिवास आदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गौ गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिवर्धन की जय, वृंदावन धाम की जय, नवद्वीप धाम की जय, स्वामी तो भक्तवृंद की जय, गंगा माई की जय, जमुना माई की जय, तुलसी देवी की जय, भक्ति देवी की जय, स्वामी तो भक्तवृंद की जय। All glories to the assembled Lord. All glory to the Asmi. Thank you very much.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Api Svit Paradya Kumtas Tvam Sangpoja Vridha Balaka Jagopsitam Karma Kimchit Yourself Sampojyan Deserving to dine together Vridha The old men, Balaka, boys, Jagopsitam, abominable, Karma, action, Kimchit, something, Kritavan, you must have done, not, Yat, that which, Akshamam, unpardonable. Translation. Have you not taken care of old men and boys who deserve to dine with you? Have you left them and taken your meals alone? Have you committed some unpardonable mistake which is considered to be abominable?
So, have you not taken care of old men and boys who deserve to dine in this? So, this is Vedic culture. When there is food stuff to be distributed, the first preference is given to the children. We remember, even now we are 78, when we were children, 4 or 5 years old, we remember, some of you have seen that Mallik's Thakurwadi. Anyone? Here you have seen. So, the first feasting is for children. So sometimes I was a little obstinate. I will not sit down. No, I will take with you. Well done. But that was the system. First of all, children should be sumptuously fed. Then the Brahmins, and children and old men. In the family, the children and old men, let's see Maharaj Yudhishthira, how much he was anxious to take care of Dhritarashtra. Although he played the part of an enemy throughout, still it is the duty of the family member to take care of the old men. When Dhritarashtra left home after being abused by his younger brother Vidura, my dear mother, you are still attached to family life. You have no sin. You are taking food from home. You considered your enemies, you wanted to kill them from the very beginning. You set fire in their home, you banished them in the forest, you intrigued against their life, and now everything is finished. All your sons, grandsons and son-in-laws and brothers and everybody, yes. Father, uncle, I want to say Bhishma was his uncle. So all family, and in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, everyone was killed except these 5 brothers. Yudhishthira, me, Arjuna, Nakusa. All male members were killed. So, only the remaining descendant was Maharaj Parikshit. He was within the womb of his mother. His father died. Arjuna's son, Abhimanyu, he was 16 years old. Fortunately, his wife was pregnant. Otherwise, the Kuru dynasty was finished. So, he rebuked, but still you are sitting here just for a morsel of food like dog. You have no shame, my dear brother. So he took it very seriously. Yes. Yes, my dear brother. You are saying all right. So what do you want me to do? We immediately come out. Immediately come out. And let us go up to the forest. So he agreed. He went there. The Maharaj Yudhishthira used to come first of all in the morning after taking bath, after worshipping. The first duty was to go and see the old man. My dear uncle, you are all comfortable, everything is all right. I'll talk for some time, just to please him. This is the duty of family members. Take care of the children, take care of old men, take care of a lizard in the house, a serpent in the house. This is the injunction. You will find in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Grihastha, how much responsible he is. That it is said, if there is a serpent, nobody wants to take care of serpent. Everyone wants to kill. And nobody is sorry to kill a serpent. Prahlad Maharaj said that Mode to sadhurapi vrishchika sarpa hatya. He said that my father was just like a serpent, a vrishchik, scorpion. So killing of a serpent or scorpion, nobody is unhappy. So, my Lord, you don't be angry. Now everything is finished. My father is finished. So, that was. But still, in the Shastra says that even in your house there is a serpent, see that he is not fasting without food. This is the spiritual communism. They are now after communism, but they do not know what is communism. Everyone should be taken care of. That is communism, real communism. Nobody should starve. Nobody should have any want in the state. That is communism. So when we went to communist country, Moscow, I think everyone was in want. They could not get in foodstuff to their own choice. Whatever government rules rubbish thing will supply, they will have to accept. And actually there was no good foodstuff. For us, we were staying in the National Hotel, and Ramchandra had to spend at least 2 hours for getting things. That also not very nice thing. Rice could not be obtained. One Madrasi gentleman, he supplied us some rice, nice atta, otherwise only milk and butter is available, and meat, that's all. No fruit, no vegetable, no nice rice. These things are not available. This is Kali Yuga. Things will be supply will be reduced. Actually, the supply is made by Krishna. Nitya nityanam chetana chetananam eka jo bhunam vidadati kaman. That is the difference between God and ourselves. We are also person. God is also person. Nitya nityanam chetana chetana. He is also living entity. We are also living entity. So what is the difference between God and ourselves? The ego, that one living entity, nitya, singular number. So, bahunam vidadati kaman, he supplies the necessities of life to all these plural number, bahuna, nitya, nityana, chetana, chetanana. Those who know Sanskrit, this nitya means singular number, person. And the nityana, that is plural number. Both of them are persons, both of them are living entities. But why that similar number is considered to the Supreme? Because he supplies full stop to all the plural. So actually Krishna has everything ready for supplying to all the living entities. Nobody is meant for starving. No, that is not. It's like in the prison house, although the prisoners, they are condemned, still government takes care of their food, of their hospitalization. Not that they should starve, no. Similarly, although in this material world, we are all condemned. We are prisoners. We are prisoners. We cannot move. We cannot go from one planet to another. They are trying so much. Now they are dead. They do not talk now. It is not possible because we are prisoners. Condition. You have to remain in this planet. One has to remain in that planet. There is no question that out of your own will and freedom, because you have no freedom. But Narada Muni has freedom. Narada Muni is going from one planet to another, he is coming from the spiritual sky to the material sky, because he is perfect bhakta. So that is the ideal living entity. As Krishna has got full freedom, similarly when we become perfect Krishna conscious, we also become free. This is our position. But not in the conditioned state, where we can move, cannot. Bhagya, Brahmanda Brahmite Kono Bhagwan, we are conditioned. But in the conditioned state also, if we follow the Vedic principles, we can be happy. Happy, and this human form of life especially, it is meant for that purpose, that you lead happily, save time for developing Krishna consciousness, so that next life you are no more in this material world, you are transferred to the spiritual world. This is the purpose of human life, but these rascals, they do not know. They think that we are advanced in civilization because the cats and dogs, they lie on the floor and sleep. We have got 104-story buildings and we lie down there. This is their advancement. But they do not understand that sleeping, the enjoyment by sleeping is the same to the dog and to the man who is lying on the 104th story. And similarly, sex life to the dog and to the man or to the demigod, the pleasure is the same. There is no difference. If you drink milk on a golden pot or an iron pot, the taste is the same. You cannot change the taste of the milk or anything putting into the golden pot. But these foolish persons, they are thinking that our material pleasure will be very much enjoyable when it is put into the golden pot instead of iron pot. Mura, they are called mura. They do not know our real business is how to get out of this material body. That is Jarma Mrityu Jarabhyadi Dukkha Devusana Darsana. This is real knowledge. One should keep in his front that my real distance of life are these four things. Jarma Mrityu Jarabhyadi. To take birth, to die, to become old, and to become diseased. This is my problem. But they do not know this. They are now busy with the petroleum problem. Yes, they created this petroleum problem, this horseless steam carriage. They are thinking, bring it at home. Now I have got this steam carriage. As soon as it is old, it has no value. You throw it to the street, especially in your country, nobody takes care of it. But one must have this carriage, and you must run on petrol and take labor, so hard labor, go into the desert, drill it, and then take out the oil, then bring it in tanks, and it is called Ugra Karma. That is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, that these rascals, demons, they have created Ugra Karma simply for trouble to the whole people. That's all. Khayaya Jagata Ahita. And bringing destruction near. Now there is war going on, and there may be big war, that means destruction. Simply for creating a little comfort. Formally also they are moving, transport was there, but they do not like to remain in the former ways because they have no other engagement. Better engagement they do not know. Here is a better engagement to come before Radha Krishna and glorify the Lord and to understand our relationship. This is our real business. But nobody is interested in the real business. They are interested in superfluous engagement. Whole day work in the office, then come here, go to the club, go to the football club, tennis club. In this way they have invented simply how to waste valuable life of this human form. They have invented. They have no sense that how this life should be utilized for stopping these the prime problems, Janma Mrityu Jara. They do not. So this Srimad Bhagavatam is giving to the whole world real life, real what is meant by life. So these are the etiquette. To take care, especially of Brahmana, old men, children, women, and cows. This is civilization. These living entities should be taken care of. Now these rascals, they are killing cows, they are making women prostitutes, and killing the children even in the womb. And there is no question of Brahman respect, and neither there is Brahman culture. Then how can we happy? And if there is no Brahminical culture in the society, then that society is less than animal society. Therefore we offer our prayers. Namo Brahmana Devaya, Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha, Jagadhitaya, Krishnaya, Govindaya, Namo Namo. First reference is given, Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha, Jagadhitaya. If you actually want to do some welfare activity for the benefit of the whole world, then these two things must be taken care of. Go Brahmana Hitaya, cows and Brahman. They should be given first protection. Then Jagadhita, then there will be actual welfare of the whole world. They do not know. Krishi Go Raksha Vanijam, Go Raksha Vanijam, Vaishya Dharma Sabhava. This is the duty of the mercantile class of man, to improve agriculture, to give protection to the cows. Krishi Go Raksha Vanijam. And if you have got excess food, you can trade Vanijam. And this is the business. The Brahmana is meant for doing the brain work. They will give advice. Just as we, Krishna consciousness movement, we are not meant for the Kshatriya's business or Vaishya's business. The devotees, but if required, they can take. The real business is, Brahmana's business is to know the Vedas, the Brahma, the Supreme Brahma, the absolute truth. He must know and he must distribute the knowledge. This is Brahmana. Kirtanam. Satatam kirtantanama. Vijatantasthadirabraka. This is Brahmana business. So, we have taken this business that preach that there is God. We have got an intimate relationship with God. So you act accordingly, then you will be happy. This is our Krishna consciousness. These rascals, they have forgotten, or they do not care to know God. And that is the cause of their suffering. Yesterday that press reporter asked, what was the question?
Can you just help solve the oil petroleum?
Yes, so what I answered. You did not remember?
Yes, the solution is already there.
Yes, actually, that is the fact. But they will not take to it. They will not take it. Now, what is the problem? It is not at all difficult. There is petrol and it is meant for our use. But the Arabians, they are thinking it is
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshitarane Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this is a class. Srila Prabhupada was speaking from Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 14, text 43. And the translation, just once again, was, have you not taken care of old men and boys who deserve to dine with you? Have you left them and taken your meals alone? Have you committed some unpardonable mistake which is considered to be abominable? So in this section of Bhagavatam, Yudhishthira Maharaj is observing various inauspicious signs because Krishna has left the planet. Yudhishthira Maharaj doesn't know that for certain, but Arjun, he had gone to see Krishna in Dwarka, and it had been quite a few months and he hadn't returned. And Yudhishthira Maharaj started seeing various signs and symptoms. And he started expressing these signs to his younger brother, Bhima. So just as he was expressing these signs, Arjun returned to Hastinapur. And Yudhishthira Maharaj could see that Arjun was looking very down, very depressed, very dejected. So in a roundabout way, instead of directly asking if something happened to Krishna, he starts asking like, did you kind of do this? Did you do that? Like, did any inauspicious things happen? Or did you forget to do certain things which has caused this inauspiciousness? So one of these examples here in this verse is, Yudhishthira Maharaj is asking Arjun, well, have you not taken care of the old men and the boys and so on, and have you not fed them? So this is how Srila Prabhupada started off the class, by making the point that this is part of Vedic culture, to make sure that the children, the brahmanas, the old men are fed. In the purport to this verse, he expresses that this is the duty of the householder to feed the old men, and he gives that principle that the householder, before taking a meal, they should go out and they should call out 3 times, and yes, and so this is the duty. And in the purport, Prabhupada says this is unpardonable if someone doesn't follow this duty. This is unpardonable. So and then Prabhupada gives his own example that when he was a child, he remembers that he was always eating first. Sometimes he would say, no, I'll eat with you. He would say to his father, to his family, but no, children eat first. They feast first. So he was making this point. And so from there, he was making the point that Yudhishthira Maharaj was caring for Dhritarashtra, even though Dhritarashtra had been an enemy, because he was one of the elders residing in the palace. Yudhishthira Maharaj still had so much concern and still was acting out of duty for Dhritarashtra. And so he explained the background of how actually Dhritarashtra had left the palace after some strong words by Vidura. Vidura had made the point that that there was no need for him to staying in the same palace. It was time for him to move on, to renounce. And so Dhritarashtra had left the palace by this point. So then there is the example given of the serpent, right? That Prabhupada says that the householder, they should take care of the old men, the children, and even the serpent in the house, even the lizard. And then he quotes a verse from Bhagavatam, from 7th canto, from Prahlad Maharaj. Anyone know this verse? Yeah. No one is unhappy when a serpent or a scorpion is killed. Yeah, exactly. Because generally it is said that serpents or scorpions, they cause disturbance, right? To the sages and so on also. So no one is unhappy if they're taken out. But still, Prabhupada says, still the duty of the householder, they take care of everyone in the house, even the serpent. Actually, I was hearing one class recently by Prabhupada in another lecture, where he was also discussing this point about killing the serpent, and he was remembering that one time he was at the temple of his Guru Maharaj, Bhaktivedanta, and there was a snake coming through the temple, and Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur had ordered to get rid of the snake, to kill him, and Prabhupada had been kind of little bit confused, little bit unsure. He didn't know why, because generally, we're non-violent and so on. So then he recalls that many years later, he came across this verse in Srimad Bhagavatam. Then he understood that, yes, my Guru Maharaj was correct, like that. So, yeah, Prabhupada is recalling something similar. So, on this principle of taking care of everyone, Srila Prabhupada says that this is spiritual communism, to take care of everyone, to make sure that everyone is cared for nicely. Then he gives an example of the communism that he observed in this world. Does anyone remember? In Russia. Uh-huh.
The National Hotel.
Uh-huh.
There was no food stuff. It took 2 hours.
Yeah.
Somewhere to find.
Yeah. So he was saying that he had just visited Moscow, Russia, and there were also communism going on. But there, everyone was in need of even basic necessities. Actually, Prabhupada was saying communism means everyone should be taken care of, spiritual communism. But he observed in Russia that everyone was just struggling just for the bare necessities of life. So then who is the actual supplier of all the necessities? Krishna. And there was a verse quoted in this connection. Yes. Yes.
Sorry, that Krishna is supreme, and the difference between us and Krishna is that Krishna is the supplier.
Krishna is?
The supplier.
The supplier.
Yeah.
Yes. So Prabhupada says that the singular is supplying to the plural, to all the plural, and so therefore that singular, Krishna, is considered supreme because he is supplying everyone else. Then there's also an example given of a prison. Prabhupada gives an analogy of a prison. Anyone recall this analogy, this comparison? Yeah.
Hare Krishna. So Prabhupada says that the prisoners who have done abominable acts, but still government take care of them for their basic necessities. Similarly, Shri Radha ki jai.
Sitaram Lakshmana Hanuman Shri Gaur ki.
So basically Prabhupada says, even those the prisoners are done abominable acts, government has still providing their basic necessities, they are not starving them. Similarly, even we are in this material world, so Krishna provides with the basic necessities with such as food and everything basically.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Yeah, so just like we observe criminals in a prison are also fed, similarly we are in this prison of the material world and Krishna supplies all the necessities. So then he discusses two personalities who have full freedom, who are not imprisoned, they have full freedom. So who are they? Narad Muni and Krishna. Yeah. So Prabhupada says, yes, Narad Muni, he has full freedom, Krishna has full freedom. We can also become free. And then he quotes a verse. How can we become free? It's a verse from the CC. Uh-huh. Yes. Brahmanda Brahmite Kon Bhagyavan Jeev. So he says, yes, if one is very fortunate to get the association of a bona fide spiritual master and then begin their path in devotional service, then they can become free. And then he starts mentioning how, yes, by following Vedic principles such as this, then we can really be happy. We can really be happy. But many people, he starts explaining, the rascals. Then he brings up the point, the rascals. They're not following Vedic principles. And so they are just going down this path of eating, sleeping, mating, defending, so on. And for each of these, he gives examples. So, anyone remember the example of sleeping? Yeah. Yeah. Now we are building 104-story buildings, and the sleep on the 104th story and a dog also sleeping is the same experience. There's no difference, Prabhupada says. And then, he gives the example also of sex life, that, animal also has the same experience. And then he gives the example of drinking milk. If you drink milk from an iron pot or if you drink milk from a gold pot, the taste is still the same. Even if it appears to be a more opulent arrangement, the experience is still the same. So then he explains what is real knowledge. So anyone know this verse from Bhagavad Gita? What is real knowledge? Sanskrit or the English, or vaguely at least. Yes. So he quotes at least that first line, Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi, and it is basically that whole verse in the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, which lists many different qualities which are actually real knowledge. And so knowing that all these things are inevitable, Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi, that birth, death, old age, disease is inevitable. This is part of real knowledge. But on the other hand, people are just engaged in ugra karma, right? So this is where the class kind of ends, on this point of ugra karma. And one main example is given in this regard. So anyone recall? Yes. 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 They're working very hard to drill oil in the deserts. And then we have this driverless tin cans. Is that what he said? Driverless tin cans. Horseless carriage, driverless tin cans. Yeah, so he said people are working very, very hard. But this is all ugra karma. Then he quotes another verse from Bhagavad Gita briefly, 16.9 from the Bhagavad Gita. Etam drishtim avashtabhya nashtatmano lapabuddhaya prabhavantya ugra karmana kshayaya jagato hita. The translation is, following such conclusions, the demoniac who are lost to themselves and who have no intelligence engage in unbeneficial, horrible works meant to destroy the world. So Srila Prabhupada quotes this verse also in relation to ugra karma. And then he says, instead of all this ugra karma activity, it is simply better to just go to Radha Krishna, to serve Radha Krishna, to glorify them. This is much better than engaging in all these ugra karma activities. And then the last point in the class is Srila Prabhupada discussing the importance of Rishi Gorakshavanijam, that everyone should be engaged in just simple life, just cow protection, agriculture. This is what Srimad Bhagavatam is giving. Then there will be actual welfare of the whole world if people live more simply. Because the real business, the Brahmana's business is to know the Vedas, the Brahman, and the absolute truth. To revive our relationship with Krishna. So this is basically just a summary of the class. Anyone has any points they would like to share that they liked? Yes, Antaranga Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you for the summary of Prabhupada's class. My question is how we as again, it comes to the point of, let's say, outreach, preaching, sharing, and practicality. So, yes, we hear so many amazing points from Srila Prabhupada. The question is how we are able to, let's say with the Grihastas, that Grihastas should be feeding anyone and everyone and basically cooking, prasadam, producing. So how we as devotees of any varna and any ashram are able to absorb our duties practically and put them into benefit of the society. Brahmacharis should be menial servants of Guru, studying Shastra and sharing the philosophy of others. Grihastas should be inviting people, bhojan, and feeding them. So how we can transfer this Vedic concept into the Western world, how we can induce people to act on these factors, on these premises. And I really want to hear some practical tips. Like, what does it actually mean? How you make that transition from ancient times of, the Vedas and the principles which in the end make you happy, and how do you transition it to the Western platform? When people are not even engaged in Ugra Karma, they don't know anything else but Ugra Karma. So how do you make the bridge between these two worlds?
So is your question more about how devotees can fulfill these duties, or is it more about how we can get general society in general involved in these duties?
Well, devotees haven't been devotees their whole life, majority.
Yeah.
So there was a point when they become devotees. So how do you take these concepts, which are very highly elevated concepts, like feeding others or creating spiritual atmosphere, make other devotees and simultaneously engage them in this Vedic sort of a platform or Vedic standards of dealing with each other? How do you do that?
Wow, that's a deep question. One thing that came to my mind is if you see what Srila Prabhupada generally stressed, it was first giving the basic philosophy and chanting and so on. And so then, therefore, after taking up to the general process of Krishna consciousness, it seemed that then people would be more inclined to live simply and to take up the Vedic culture. It seems like first the stress was on the basic practices of chanting and Bhagavatam and so on, and then the cultural aspect was almost still important, but not as big of a priority. So maybe in terms of preaching, maybe the idea is still we kind of first introduce the basic principles and get everyone on that platform, and from there, I think naturally also through the process of Krishna consciousness, right? Generally one becomes more inclined to live simply, and I think the examples you were giving, brahmacharis, just doing simple service and studying and teaching is something that many of us are already engaged in, and Grahastha ashram also, they're serving in various different ways. Many Grahasthas hold programs in their homes and so many things. So I think that element is somewhat there already, but I don't know if other devotees have other thoughts. Yes, Tarun.
Hare Krishna. In that regard, we already have this model in small degree here. Who is maintaining the temple? Who is feeding devotees? Who is clothing devotees? Are Grihasthas. So this is example. So we cannot influence society by preaching much, but introducing our simple system which works. So if we expand more, and if people are inspired to create such a communities on more and more and more scales, then naturally people will join. And one cannot support, neither want to support such a community if he's not devotee. So in that sense, preaching makes them devotees, and then they will fit in their slot. They will naturally, as a grihasta, they will support the community. And another point is, before we have Varnashrama Dharma, this will not happen. This is such a broad topic, we already know, and discussion is even decreasing, because to have the Varnashrama is just such an enormous task. But until we have, it's not going to happen in a large scale. Only we can do to show example of our own activities. We have a small community, like a manor, is kind of as can be perfect in this day and age. It's kind of Varnashrama there in some unstructured form maybe, but that's, if you have more of those communities, then naturally people will follow the example. People will join, and then things will start to roll. That's my opinion.
Thank you. Yes, Karan.
I have a question.
Wait, was Damodar, did you just want to comment on the same point? Or?
It's a similar point.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. Just before we go to a different topic, if your question was different, then
No, my question is completely different.
Okay, so maybe you can briefly share.
Thank you, Bruce. Something that stood out to me was, as Srila Prabhupada said, in this Krishna consciousness movement, it's meant to be the brain, and then he says, so he talks about us and we, that we're not meant for Kshatriya business or Vaishya business. So I'm just wondering about, the rest of society. Is that included in Krishna consciousness?
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yeah, about basically it says that this Krishna consciousness movement were meant to be like the Brahmanas, but then he speaks that we're not meant for Kshatriya business or Vaishya business. So I'm just trying to understand if we're meant just to be the Brahmanas in society, or if the rest of society is to be included within Krishna consciousness society. Is it simply like a Brahminical society?
Interesting point. I'm not completely sure. I don't know if someone else has any thoughts. The only thought that comes to my mind is sometimes there are these points made that, if someone is a Vaishnava, then they're above even a Brahmana, or they're considered automatically to be qualified as a Brahmana just by even chanting the holy name. And so therefore, and naturally as one gets more purified, comes more to the mode of goodness, so then maybe they're naturally more suitable for Brahminical activities in that way. I don't know if anyone has any thoughts on this.
As Brahmanas, you can see even in Mahabharata, there's Brahmanas that are training Kshatriyas. So Brahmanas are teaching other people to connect their activities to the Lord's service, so that they can be connected to spirituality. So that's the duty of the devotees as well.
Makes sense. Thank you. Yeah, Karan.
Here, Yudhishthira Maharaj is taking care of Duryodhana's father, the one who committed so many aggressions towards him. And in the purport, in the first chapter of Gita, Prabhupada writes that such an aggressor, there's no sin in killing them. So, and we know that Duryodhana's father sanctioned all of his atrocities. And so, with Dhritarashtra's character being very questionable, how is it that Yudhishthira Maharaj is housing such a person? Because when his character is in question, you never know, he could just turn around and do something atrocious. Like, Do you get what I mean? Like, and then how is then Yudhishthira Maharaj taking care of such a person? Like, it's not just a normal elderly person. It's an elderly person who's your family member and who's one who's tried to kill you all their life. So, can you just elaborate on that, please?
Good question. Yeah, Rajan Prabhu.
Why should we lower ourselves to their standard, to our standard? We don't have to. It's not our business. That's their business. That's Krishna's business. You know, there's no point in questioning why this, why that. It is so. He did it. He's got to face the consequences. It's a simple formula. Krishna's saying, he's the person he's playing that part in this drama that we have in this world. He's helping us to know what we should do in all circumstances. We may hate our mum-in-law, but we still treat her with respect. We have to. She's a mother. You know, so you know. There's no question of why. It is just as so. It's part of our scenario. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Would you like to? Okay. Yeah. On this point, I mean, one thing that comes to my mind is the quote you said from the purport in first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where you can kill an aggressor for these reasons. I think that those criteria are said to be from the Dharma Shastras, and it's like, I think it's explained usually that somewhere else in the first chapter, Srila Prabhupada expresses how a devotee is soft-hearted, right? And so even Arjuna, you could see like it was clear that, you know, the battle was like a last resort, and, you know, it was justified, and yet Arjuna was still hesitant. So similarly, I think it is naturally that they had some kindness, and at least from what I know of Mahabharata, Dhritarashtra's actions were always indirect in terms of causing harm to the Pandavas. It wasn't that. It was Duryodhana mainly that was acting as the aggressor. But I think Yudhishthira Maharaj always seemed to have a good relationship with all his elders, at least externally, face to face, and so perhaps he continued that. And we also don't know the details of how Dhritarashtra was looked after. Maybe he was also kept under watch, like, we don't know. So, and also Dhritarashtra had no real allies remaining because all his sons had passed, so yeah.
It's just a thought that this was after the Battle of Kurukshetra.
Yeah.
So he's defeated. It's not like he's a dangerous person anymore. He's a helpless old man. It's in a different situation. So now they're protecting him to show an example to us that, okay, he's not that dangerous, toxic person that can cause trouble anymore. So even though he's done all these bad things, they're showing how a decent person behaves with such a person. That's my thought. I'm not sure if it's in line with Shastra.
Jignesh Prabhu, you got a point?
Hare Krishna. So first thing is Pandavas were like devotees of Krishna, and devotees Titikshava Karunika Surudam Sarvadehinam. They are always under protection of Krishna, and Titikshava, they are tolerant. And in case of practical application, in this case, we can say like if something happening in our family society, in our case, we can keep like safe distance without disrespecting them, and keeping our faith on Krishna, that yeah, Krishna is there and he's going to save me. Doesn't matter this person, what are you going to do with me? So having that faith and respect.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so it's already well past 8:30, so we'll finish here. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki. Vanchakalpa.
Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta